Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Denis Ricou. I am with the Public Affairs Office full-time. The first 10 years of my career, military career, I blew stuff up. It was awesome. And then I got a degree, and then I had to get a real job. So now I do public affairs. And all the way at the rear of the room, you'll see a very handsome older gentleman. Yeah, that's my first sergeant. He's also the public affairs guy for Rio. So if you have any questions, he'll be available. What do? We have a team of journalists that promote the good news stories that our guardsmen do, whether it's overseas or here at home. We also like to promote our family because, without family support, our missions just would not be a success. So, I guess specific to you guys that are fixing to deploy, if you've ever been to a deployment ceremony or any event, we like to get the media there because you've heard it a million times. The media only reports the negative stuff. Well, that's what we're here to combat. We want the media to work for us. That's what they do. We're supposed to give them the good information, and they're supposed to put it out there. So we like to invite them to these ceremonies. So I guess I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about how to deal with the media, and then I'll talk a little bit about OPSEC. Have you guys had an OPSEC brief yet? Have you guys had 17,000 OPSEC briefs yet? All right, wait till you get in country. Okay, so by the way, I'm the media relations guy for the state and the state editor. And you'll see some of our guys videotaping and writing stories. They're awesome. So the public's right to know. Dude, they buy all of our equipment. So their taxpayer money buys us the new 1970 Humvees that we still drive and the old M16s and stuff like that. So they need to know what we're doing because they pay for us to blow stuff up or write about blowing stuff up. Next slide, please. So if the media approaches you, or if I go, oh, you're super handsome, or your kid's adorable, let's do an interview, it's your right to say, yeah, I'd love to do that, or if you don't want to do it, that's cool. Just let me know. Just let the reporter know and say, you know what, who'd be perfect for this, and then you find your buddy and make him squirm and sweat. So if you want to talk to him, awesome. If you do decide to talk to him, you're just going to talk about your story. I don't think we have any airmen deploying. It's just soldiers, right? Of course, sir. So if you want to talk to them about your story, about your family. And we always say stay in your lane. If you drive it, shoot it, command it, write about it, then you can talk about it. You are a big part of you're part of the big picture. And that big picture is telling the story of your unit, of the Louisiana National Guard, of Louisiana, of America, and so on. Next slide, please. Always keep security in mind. You don't want to give too many of our specifics. We say don't offer specifics. That's when a unit deploys and they have 110 soldiers deploying. I say there are more than 100 soldiers deploying. You don't want to get too specific because you don't want the enemy to have any information that could harm you or the success of your mission. Don't talk about what you think the unit's mission is. You have dedicated subject matter experts to talk about that and point those guys out. So yeah, as harmless and insignificant as some information may seem, in the wrong hands, it could do some harm. I always tell this story. My wife, yeah, that's right, sorry ladies. My wife, when I was deployed to Iraq, thanks for the one laugh, sir. We were convoying in from Kuwait to Iraq. And this was 2004. It was a big deal. They said, you know what, don't tell your families back home. Let them know when we get to Baghdad because, this is going to be a little scary. So that's what we did, and everybody called home, the few of us that got handpicked to do this. And we said, we're going to go to the field. We're going to do some maintenance on our vehicles for a couple days, but don't worry about us. We'll call you when we get, when we get back. And so we convoyed into Iraq. Nothing bad happened. And so I called home, and she's like, why didn't you tell me this? I was like, whoa, what are you talking about? Well, my best friend over there was worried about me. So when he called home to his wife, he said, I'm really worried about Ricou. He's going on this dangerous mission. As a friend would, you confide in your spouse. Well, she, as a friend of my wife, called my wife. So while I'm driving, my wife is worried sick about me for 3 days. So insignificant, harmless, people just doing the right things, but you see how these things snowball. Okay, as always, if you're unsure about something, let them know. They won't put you on the news saying, oh, I don't know, or this. But if you give them the wrong information, they will put that out on the news, and then you're gonna have to do like 150 push-ups. Next slide, please. Do's and don'ts. When you're talking to the media, always be factual, always be truthful, don't lie, don't speculate. Avoid rumors, it's the military. Rumors are awesome. We used to start rumors in Iraq just to see how far it would go up the chain and get back down to us. Like, I think one was Pamela Anderson. Do you remember the Pamela Anderson one, where she was like coming on Tuesday night or something? It was crazy. So our battalion commander like had to bring us all together and talk to us about rumor control. It was hilarious. Don't do that, by the way, guys. If you have any issues or complaints, try to resolve, and this is for the family members, you know, the spouses and support chain back here. If you have any problems, let your chain of concern know, your family readiness group leaders, and so on and so on. That's what they're here for. You've heard everybody say what an honor it is to work for you guys, and that's what we all do 24/7. You know, my phone never stops ringing. Hey, what's up? If your guardsman has any issues or complaints, let their chain of command handle it. It's bad enough when you have a hard day at work and you go home and you tell your husband all about it, and you know, it's like, oh yeah, whatever, let's have a beer, and then it's cool, you know, because that's your confidant, that's your like therapist and psychologist. Well, you put a couple oceans and deserts in between there, and you don't talk every single day, and then, you know, all of a sudden you have your soldier who said, oh, you know, my first sergeant made me do this, 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 I feel like I'm being abused. Chances are he just had a hard day. Let him talk, let her talk, and then call the next day, and everything should be resolved. I guess what I'm saying is, don't go to the media and say, oh, our guys have, you know, poor equipment, or I don't feel like they got enough training, you know, for this. That's what we're here for. Let us handle it. Don't make my job harder, please. So no matter what anyone says, if a journalist or a reporter is taking notes or recording you and they ask you a question, don't ever say, you know, is this on the record or is it off the record? It's always on the record, no matter what. Off the record does not exist. That's not a real thing. You know, we've had generals overseas fired because of that. Rolling Stone. Next slide, please. Interview tips. Always be honest. Talked about it. Don't assume antagonism if the reporter is trying to ask you questions, you know, with a different angle that might upset you. If there's any problem whatsoever, you can go, okay, you know what, I don't feel like being on camera anymore, and you can just walk away. Don't argue or engage in battle. Let me do that. Answer directly to a direct question. Be relaxed, because you're talking about you. You're talking about a really cool, positive thing. You know, your family members or you yourself are fixing to go and, you know, defend our freedom, our country, our state, whether it's here for a hurricane or overseas. So be positive in your answers. Avoid jargon. I mean, the airmen use acronyms that I don't understand, and vice versa. Wives and husbands barely know what we're talking about. You put that to people that have never been around the military, they have no clue what we're talking about. And acronyms can mean different things for different organizations, so avoid jargon. Keep your answers short, pause before answering. This will prevent you from saying, who's ever had that teacher where they're trying to teach you a class and it's so boring because they say like 1,000 times, and you just start like scratching it on the desk. 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't listen to what they're saying. Same thing with this. If you keep your answers short and pause, you'll seem thoughtful, and it'll avoid you saying, you know what I mean? All right, next slide. Next slide. Verbal communication. Again, be positive in your answers. Don't be curt. That's short to the point of rudeness. Don't repeat or accept the reporter's facts or figures. They may say, oh, you know, you have a family day. They're deployed. They say, we understand that the unit just got extended for another 2 months. Don't go, typical engineers, you know, Army doing this and this and this. It may have just been a rumor. Don't automatically assume. If you do hear something like that, say, oh, let me check with the rear deck commander or something like that, or give me a call. Nonverbal communication, look eye to eye. Natural hand movements are awesome. We're all from like the South, so this is how we talk. This is good. You don't want to be rigid, because normally when you're rigid, and you'll see that, so watch your body movements right there. If this is, you're trying to be as still as possible, they don't get this on camera. All they're going to have is your head, and the whole time you're talking is you just look like a bobblehead. Listen actively. guys, we don't know what this means. So women, if you could just let us know. Basically, listen to the question, then formulate the answer. Don't already have that command message ready to pump out there. And yeah, watch your body movements, facial expressions, nervous tics, you know, you're jangling change in your pocket, or you're blinking a lot, or just you completely just nod the entire time. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is really all you have to remember. Contact us. If there's an issue, or you want a story written, or you think, wow, we should promote this, contact me. Always be truthful. As a family member or FRGL, you are not a spokesman or a representative of the Louisiana National Guard. You're awesome. You're part of the team, but let us do that. I say that to prevent any trouble or any harm coming to you. OPSEC saves lives. Next slide, please. You have any questions? No, you don't. Next, please. Please. That's us. Colonel Kaz, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Kazmerzak, is the State Public Affairs Officer, and then that's me. This 1-800 number is our media hotline, but it goes straight to my cell phone at 3 in the morning, I promise you. And there's my email address. I think this will be available at some point. Also, if you go to our website, which is goguard.com, G-E-A-U-X-G-U-A-R-D. It's clever, right? We're in Louisiana. It's Cajun. goguard.com. Public Affairs has our own little section right there, and it has all of our contact information, a lot of cool stuff, all of our logos and anything you need. All right, I believe this rolls right into OPSEC, which is quick. Next slide, please. It's still me. Social media. Raise your hand if you have a Facebook. All right, sorry. Raise your hand if you're over 65 years old. Yeah, you guys don't have Facebook. So every unit has been directed to have their own official Facebook. Websites are obsolete, they're boring, who cares about that? The Family Readiness Group people, I see people pointing saying, oh, take notes. If you want a Facebook, call me. I will help you set it up, and it's awesome. There's just a couple guidelines that you need to keep in mind to protect you, protect the mission, protect your families, and again, to protect my job because I'm super lazy. So Facebook is awesome. It keeps you guys communicating. It also opens this increased risk to cyber attacks or them obtaining some of your personal information. Next slide, please. Said that. Yep. As always, be paranoid. Don't be paranoid where you're scared to walk outside, but always assume that it says enemy, but bad people are watching your stuff, whether it's to see when your husband or wife is deployed and then you post that you're going to Disney World for the weekend. Well, I'm going to go rob your house. It's simple. It just people, I guess enemies, I don't know. They put all this information together and then find out exactly how to target you best. Credit card information, social security numbers, your kids, camp schedule, all of this stuff. Next slide, please. Hey, did you know? Yeah, you guys know all this stuff. Dude, if you don't want your grandma to read it or your boss, don't put it on Facebook. It's just that simple. Take an example from Anthony Weiner. Next slide, please. Both times. Topical. Okay, guardsmen using social media must abide by the UCMJ. Even if it's not an official Facebook page for your unit and it's just your personal Facebook page, if you identify yourself as a guardsman, even out of uniform, you still have to abide. The dude will abide. Next slide, please. Stay in your lane. This is pretty much a common theme with everything in the military, right? OPSEC is paramount. Yeah, we mentioned OPSEC once or twice. Huh. And if you have any questions, find out the answers. That's what we're here for. Next slide, please. Play nice. Look at how you're representing yourself and your family and the guard and all that. If you refer to the LANG, oh yeah, we just talked about that. Next slide, please. Privacy settings. Some people actually don't know that there's privacy settings on Facebook and on your phone and all these different social medias. I keep saying Facebook, but I just mean social media sites. You can adjust your privacy settings. You don't want people to look at your pictures, then you have to literally go in there and say, only my friends can look at my pictures. Next slide, please. Geotagging on your phone, on your smartphones. You probably don't know this, but you automatically are geotagging every time you take a photo, unless you go into the phone itself and turn it off. Basically, it's providing a 10-digit grid code for every photo that you take. Why is this important? In Iraq, if you're taking photos of the awesome helicopters that just landed, then, and you send it out in an email, the bad guy gets it. This has actually happened. Bad guy gets it and looks in the metadata, with their Photoshop, and they go boom, 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 boom. Ah, these are where the helicopters are. They bombed exactly that place, and people got hurt. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm just saying take that and apply it to basically anything. So, yeah, geotagging's bad. Next slide. Bottom line, if you create a Facebook page for your unit, contact me. I'll help you set it up, and I'll talk to you with the do's and don'ts. We can stay connected, not just one time, but the entire time. Next slide. I think that's it. That's me again. If anybody has any questions, like I said, I think he just walked out. First Sergeant Meeker will be around. He's wearing a purple button-up shirt, and I'll be hanging out at the bar tonight. So I drink Bud Light.